The league is scheduled to resume play on July 31st. One of the teams competing for the title will be the Utah Jazz, and we are now joined by their coach, Quin Snyder. Coach, thank you so much for being with us this morning. So appreciate having you, and I hope you're doing well. I know it's been a crazy time for everybody, and that's an understatement. I want to start with the current relationship between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. We understand that Donovan Mitchell was upset after Gobert was overtly touching items in the locker room. They both ultimately tested positive for coronavirus. Obviously, we saw the video at the press conference where Gobert was playing around and later apologized. Where is their relationship right now?
Well, I think it's important, just to take a step back as you're thinking about those two guys. They're both really terrific people and excellent players. This was the first time that any two players on one team, really, I think across the world, certainly in the U.S. and in the NBA, that were diagnosed with that virus. And if you could imagine, the emotion, the fear, all the different things that go through, their minds and their feelings, it's humbling to think about that, and you try to. And I think right now, we're in good shape. Those guys are getting ready to play, and they're as excited as anybody in our team or anybody in the league.
Coach, before we get off of Donovan Mitchell in particular, I want to ask you about him as a player, because when I look at the Utah Jazz roster, boy, you have a lot of good players and you play well together. But the history of the NBA has been such that someone who can get his own shot has to be playing at a high enough level to be the best player on a championship team. And though Donovan Mitchell has gotten better and better every season, he's still very young, he's a fantastic player, I haven't seen that yet. Do you think, one, that it's true that you need one guy like that to be playing at that kind of level? And two, if so, is Donovan Mitchell ready for that when the season resumes?
Well, first, I do think it's true, particularly as you get into the playoffs. It may not have to be one player all the time. I think we have a very balanced team. Mike Conley's capable of getting his shot. So is Jordan Clarkson. And obviously so is Donovan. I think sometimes people forget, you mentioned it, that Donovan's young. Donovan's rookie year, he came into a situation where our team was lacking that. And he's been able to fill that for us. As you said, he's someone that's getting better all the time. He's been in constant touch with our staff, figuring out what he needs to be working on. And he's had those moments. He's had games. He's had big quarters in the playoffs. He's had big games in the playoffs. And when you have a young player and all of a sudden you're seeing different schemes, there's a learning process that takes place. But, Donovan's done that. And I have no doubt in my mind that he's not only capable, but, that's something that we'll see from him in the playoffs.
You're one of the coaches on the NBA Coaches Committee to Combat Racial Injustice. I was wondering what specifically you guys hope to accomplish.
Well, the first step is, I think, the commitment that, the guys on that committee, and in particular Lloyd Pierce, who, was the catalyst behind the formation of the committee. But not just Lloyd, not just the guys that are on that committee, but all the coaches in the NBA. There's, been a passion and a commitment from all 30 coaches in, close to 28 markets, I guess, for doing something that's significant. And anytime you commit to trying to do something that, has significance and it is something that can truly impact change, we don't want to rush into any, specific agenda right now. I think there's a lot of communication. There's been multiple meetings. And the important thing is, that's being there's learning that's taking place, particularly on my part. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of listening, and I'm confident that as the focus continues to be more specific, that we'll find some things where we can really make an impact.
Coach, I want to commend you for taking the lead on that, because obviously this is so much bigger than basketball. But now that the season is resuming, we're all excited here. Obviously we're a sports show. We can't wait for things to get back July 31st in Orlando. What challenges are you concerned about, as a coach heading down to Orlando, this unique format, kind of like a bubble situation?
Well, first of all, I'm I'm a follower. I haven't taken the lead as much as I have been learning and trying to commit and provide, support and understanding from my vantage point. With the respect to the season, I think there's a lot of variables. The NBA has done a terrific job in conjunction with the Players Association to try to mitigate and try to address some of the concerns that obviously are there, not just with our players and other leagues and across the country. I think first and foremost, the question of health, and not just generally with COVID, but more specifically to the players. And that's been something that's been discussed a lot. I know the health performance staffs are aware of it, as are the coaches. So I think conditioning and all the things that go into a training camp that prepare you to play are really important. And then the obvious, that we're going to be in one location for a significant period of time. And I think the mental component of that, teams' focus, their commitment. I mean, you're familiar with the teams in the league, and I think you'll see that. I think guys, in spite of the layoff, are going to be really focused and prepared to play, and that's gonna show itself over a regular season period that's obviously shorter. And I think by the time the playoffs start, you'll see some teams that are really focused and ready to go.